Today on the Topping Show, the UAW strike begins. Vivek on building a wall tweet gets quite some traction. Budweiser vintage ad is roasted. Disney may sell ABC. Dove Soap promotes quote-unquote fat liberation and hires a obese BLM activist. San Francisco temporarily cleans up crime for the Salesforce conference. Chuck Schumer calls Biden investigation a witch hunt. Oh, the hypocrisy is quite palatable. DeSantis ramps up the truck critique. Howard Schultz is leaving Starbucks. Johnson & Johnson changes their logo. Kendra Scott and Target strike a deal. Planet Fitness CEO steps down and the stock hits a 52-week low. All of that and much more on The Topping Show. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in today. Today's episode of Topping Show is sponsored by Topping Technologies. Topping Technologies is an IT value-added reseller and services company with a special proficiency in IT security. Heck, I see their founder released twice a day. Gotta say he's quite handsome and brilliant. Tease me, that's the joke. If you're an IT leader or a business owner, need a little assistance, you can reach the team at sales@toppingtechnologies.com. We're also giving away a free flamethrower with every September purchase. Yes, you can mount it to an AR-15, also known as America's Rifle. Click the website to learn a little bit more, toppingtechnologies.com. Lastly, for the intro, trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of September, so you click that button, I'd greatly appreciate it. Now going over to the business part of the podcast, you have Howard Schultz leaving the Starbucks board, which is quite a little disappointing. While I may not agree with, I would say, most of his political views, Howard Schultz is probably someone I do admire from an entrepreneurial standpoint. He bought Starbucks when they basically had, I think, one store, and he grew it exponentially to the, I was about to say, instead of business blunder, it would be the business brilliance of the coffee industry, and synonymous with the word coffee. Not only did he create it and build it up, but once he became CEO, or rather, more appropriately, he actually stepped down from leadership a couple years back. The company, of course, crumbled, and he had to be reinstated as CEO to fix it. So very similar to Papa John's, you see a lot of correlations where when this founder moves away, sometimes it's good for the company, but sometimes it can be detrimental. And in the case of Starbucks, he saved the company from the brink of basically going under. Quite an entrepreneurial feat, not just to build a business, but then rebuild it when your predecessor messes it up. So it is sad to see that he's stepping away from the board. In terms of his overall accomplishments coming from nothing, he literally grew up in federally assisted houses with a single mom. Yet he worked like hell and built an empire. Perhaps one of the best examples of the American dream, where literally if you just work and fight like hell, you'd be surprised what you can accomplish. But I digress partially. In terms of departure from the board of directors, it looks like it will be part of a quote-unquote part of a planned transition, and he will remain as a company as chairman emeritus. And Schultz abdicated the chief executive officer role in March, ending his, I was going to say, his third tenure as a CEO of Starbucks. And a lot of people are saying he's leaving because of the unionization efforts. There's a lot of issues right now with Starbucks. Some of the investors have been disappointed with the higher wages and the cost of the equipment. And I would also argue a lot of the, what's a nice way of saying mediocre talent they're hiring. There was a trend on the TikTok or one of the social media apps where you had grown adults, or maybe I think they were 18, but there was and it's even more pathetic, it was a man, well, I would say certainly not mentally a man, maybe a boy, but he was crying on the app, complaining about how complex the orders were when he was working as a Starbucks barista. He was complaining they had to work 8 hours a day. How far our country has fallen is beyond me. Perhaps this also appropriately should be put in the culture part of the podcast, but the barista was literally crying because of complex orders. Your job exists because of those complex orders. The profit margins on the, was it the tall mocha crappuccino Best Buy Banana Falcon coffee? The margins on that are much better than if you just go there and buy a soda can or just plain black coffee. That's how the company exists. It's because of high profit margins on the harder, complex coffee slurs that they put together. And this person is crying because of it. How weak mentally and physically America has become is quite embarrassing. It'll be interesting to see he's stepping down. Part of me can't help but think perhaps it's nostalgia, but maybe he'll come back as CEO a fourth time. Because I can't help but think the trajectory of Starbucks, with the culture, with the competitive industry, with their increasing prices, well, I think maybe it's time for him to return sooner rather than later. But as I more often than not say, time shall tell. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in. Again, I know Sam Biss is trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of September, so if you can click that button, I would greatly appreciate it. Also, the comments help the channel grow and develop. All of the critique is greatly appreciated as I try to do everything from enunciate more, slowing down my voice, and still searching for better software so we can do the picture-in-picture with the video. I tried another one, but I don't know if it's because of my newer 4K camera. It keeps crashing. So if you have suggestions, I would greatly appreciate them. And of course, don't forget to take the time to like the video because that helps with the algorithm and gives me feedback on if I need to maybe do something a little bit better. And also, don't forget to take the time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe and fight the good fight.